Hello and welcome. Good afternoon. I am Yatin Mota. You are watching this Moneycontrol live stream, the closing bell, and we discuss the Indian stock markets here. When you talk about Tuesday, today was the NSE's monthly expiry, and if you talk about the markets, they tried to consolidate near that 26,000 mark on the Nifty, and if you look at the Sensex also, we were down about 150 points to settle at close to 84,600. Now, if you look at the Nifty Bank, clearly an outperformer today, almost 100 points up, led by the rally in the PSU banks that we saw since the last 2-3 trading sessions. And if you look at the mid and small cap indices, they was almost flat in trade. The reason why the advance decline ratio on the markets was almost 2:3. Talking about the sectoral movers today, if you look at Nifty Metal, PSU Bank, Midcap Select, all of these indices were in the green. In fact, metal stocks continue to rally. Today also the metal index was up nearly 1.25%. Real estate, IT, FMCG saw some profit taking. So overall, the markets were slightly dull there. But talking about the Nifty 50 gainers, we have the metal stocks, as I mentioned earlier. JSW Steel and Tata Steel, both of these stocks gained nearly 3% each. SBI Life, post the numbers, continues to rally. That was up another 2% today, followed by HDFC Life, almost 1% higher. What was not doing well is Trent, Coal India, ONGC, all of these stocks down 1.5%. And clearly the rise in crude oil prices does not even help ONGC rally. The stock is hovering around the 250, 260 rupees range. And when it comes to the mid-cap end of the market, we had result reactions. News and Software reacting to the numbers was up 12%, TTK Prestige up 12%. Chennai Petro, fantastic numbers yesterday, was consolidating. Today also moved nearly 10% in trade. Netweb, IDBI Bank were the other stocks which moved in trade. In fact, IDBI reacted to the Moneycontrol exclusive news that the interministerial group for the divestment of IDBI Bank will meet soon to finalize the share purchase agreement along with the DFS as well as Deepam secretary. So yes, that stock was in news. What was not doing well is Bata, down 5% post tepid numbers. GST impact and a disruption at the warehouse impacted numbers. BSC down 4%, and Shipping Corporation of India, that stock also fell nearly 4% in trade. But overall, if you look at the markets, clearly in a consolidation mood. Let's hope that the new November series gets some cheer to the street. Thursday we'll have the expiry on Sensex as well as BSC. But yes, we have whole host of events coming up for the week. But today on our show we have Milan joining in. Milan, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. And talking about the Indian stock markets, clearly in consolidation phase, what do you make out of the Nifty and the Sensex levels at current point in time?
Hi, Yatin, good afternoon. Markets are simply taking a breather. We have had a breakout from a year-long symmetrical triangle on the higher time frame charts, and that breakout occurred when we crossed above 25,400 to 500 zone. So that being said, that breakout remains in place. Now, if I zoom in a bit to take a short-term view, I think markets are consolidating between 26,100 on the upper side, the levels that we saw on last Thursday, and 26,100 on the lower side and 25,700, 800 zone on the lower side. So it's a small consolidation that is going on in the markets. Maybe we could see this consolidation until the BSE expiry is also out of the way. And maybe from the coming week, markets can look at resuming its move on the upside.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on the markets. Milan, also want your view on the overall, sectoral phase. We have the metal stocks which continue to rally. PSU banks are doing well. Any particular sector or any particular stocks that you like at this point in time from the metal or the PSU banking names?
Yes, I have by a little bit of a different view here. Yes, if we take a look at the entire sectoral picture and we plot all the Nifty sectors on the relative rotation graph, which we use to visualize the relative strength, we have auto, PSU banks, and metal well placed into the leading quadrant, and we will see these groups continuing to relatively outperform the broader markets. Now, where the the youth of the potential lies is that in sectors like realty, for example, realty lies into the lagging quadrant, and the sectors in this quadrant are supposed to lag the market, or they are supposed to relatively underperform. But realty in particular, there are other sectors as well, but realty in particular is seeing a sharp improvement in its relative momentum, and it's the sector which is farthest away from the center point on the RRG. So going ahead from here, we have quite a good amount of chances that realty will end up generating a lot of alpha as compared to the broader markets. It might take a couple of weeks to materialize. I mean, but yes, realty is something that I'm looking at. But coming to your question in particular from PSU space, I would continue sticking to the large caps. I would continue sticking to SBI, Canara Bank, and Bank of India for that matter.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on the PSU banking names. And if you look at SBI, a whole host of these PSU banks, most of them are at record levels. So yes, PSU banks is one space which has kept the market quite buoyant. In fact, if SBI ahead of the numbers is at all-time high levels of nearly 130 in place. But let's talk stock specific, and Indus Tower, that stock ended at the day's high. We have CLSA, which has a high conviction buy on the stock with a target of 520. And obviously the numbers, if you look at it on an adjusted basis, were slightly better than the street expectations. In fact, the core revenue is up 11% year on year. And if you look at the sequential EBITDA performance, that was almost 5% higher. On the capital allocation front, there are concerns that African tower business will take up a lot of cash. But probably the company said that it will stick to its old capital allocation policy. The positive commentary in the conference call lifted the shares at almost day's high, ending almost 3.5% higher in trade. Milan, we saw the shares of Vodafone Idea move almost 50% in 2 months. Vodafone Idea's Supreme Court verdict was welcomed by the markets. Today, Indus Tower is doing well. Any particular view on telecom stocks, especially the likes of Bharti or Indus Tower?
To begin with, I would generally not suggest Vodafone Idea to anyone because, I mean, on a lighter note, you need to be a Supreme Court lawyer to predict future moves of Idea. I mean, it's moving more on the developments that are going on in the Supreme Court rather than anything else. So I generally keep that stock aside. But from the telecom space, yes, actually, Indus Towers that you just referred to has not broken out today. It broke out yesterday when it crossed above its multiple moving averages from a multi-point trend line resistance, and in the process it has dragged its support level higher to 365. So that means that as long as Indus Tower stays above 365, the breakout that it achieved yesterday remains absolutely valid, and we can certainly expect levels of around 410 to 20 going ahead on that. And from the telecom space, I would continue sticking to Bharti. Bharti is set to generate much better alpha than any other stock from this space going ahead from here.
Okay. Bharti Airtel on your screens are doing well in trade. But if you look at Sona BLW, that is also one stock which has been quite marred. The promoter founder death, and then the family dispute, and then we have the BYD contract which got in abeyance. Has the stock moving into volatility. CLSA has a, however, outperformer call on Sona BLW with a target of 570, and they said that despite the revenue declining in the electric vehicle space, the overall consideration with respect to the railway business growth as well as the revenue growth was almost 24%. So a lot of other growth levers, especially in the EU, wherein their competitors are facing some issues with the balance sheet, and hence the company is in a very highly competitive position against its competitors. Your views, Milan, on stocks like Sona BLW, Bharat Forge, which have probably linked to the trade war as well, but the volatility gives an opportunity. So any take at the current levels on the likes of Sona BLW, or for that matter Bharat Forge?
Yeah, I'll begin with Sonacoms. Sonacoms, actually, we are talking about a very short-term period of, I say, around July to October, where the stock was under a downtrend. But if we zoom out a bit, then it is quite evident that the stock has not violated its immediate major swing low that was formed in April. And it would be fair to say that between April and October, the stock has spent much of the time in creating a base for itself. And what we have seen from October first week onward until now is a major attempt by the stock to reverse or rather end a multi-month downtrend. So yes, stock has actually attempted a major trend reversal here, and that trend reversal would the attempt to reverse the trend will stay in force so long as the stock stays above 440. And yes, I also expect that over coming months, if it would not be surprised if we see the levels of 550 to 560 coming our way.
Absolutely. 560 is the level to watch out for Sona BLW. Probably a 10-15% kind of upside could be seen here. But one stock, that I would like to discuss is, the overall setup on L&T. L&T will report numbers, later, tomorrow, and the stock is at a new, all-time high. Milan, your views on L&T ahead of the numbers, how does the chart look, and do you think is there any resistance or any support zones that one should watch out for, especially from the trading side?
There is a support zone because now since the stock has broken out, the levels that were acting as resistance earlier are now acting as support. And over the move that we have, over the previous days, that the move that we have seen in L&T has dragged its support levels higher in the range of 3750 to 3850. So I think that so long as we stay above this point, the attempted breakout will remain in force. I expect higher levels in L&T. In fact, that is also giving some robustness to the entire infrastructure index where L&T has a major weight. So yes, I expect higher levels of from L&T unless there is a major tactical negative surprise, if I call that way, in the numbers. But otherwise, the chart looks pretty robust, and it has in fact attempted a major breakout since 2024. The stock hasn't moved anywhere as such. So the breakout attempt that we are seeing right now is indeed a structural one, but we need to see if that is sustained. If it sustains, once the numbers are out of the way, then I see that there could be some consolidation. It's a different thing, but by and large, I expect good move on the upside for L&T.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on L&T, trying to attempt a big breakout. Let's see how the numbers really shape up with respect to the quarter gone by and what's the H2, which is the second half outlook for this infrastructure major. Milan, it was always a pleasure talking to you. Hope to see you more often on the Moneycontrol platform. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Yatin. Thank you so much.
So, with that, completely running out of time, and it's time to say goodbye. But stay tuned to moneycontrol.com for all your business news and updates. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., join us for the opening bell.